Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now December 6th of 2025, and given that there are tons of celebrities coming out of the woodwork to really just force their politics onto the general public, hence dividing their audience and really just alienating their entire fan base, we know that there's a lot of things going on right now with actors, for example, like George Clooney or Robert De Niro. We'll talk more about him later on as well. And focusing on others out there that are just really pressing on the whole recent Epstein revelations coming forward and calling Trump a liar, calling Trump all these different names, calling his supporters especially all different names, and how it's backfiring on their careers. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You could also follow me at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. Now, I've said this many times, more than I can count, that Robert De Niro is probably by far the most insufferable actor out there because he never backs down when it comes to how forced his politics really come across as, and how really he shows no remorse over the fact that he is pushing his own fans away. You know, I know a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people that are Robert De Niro fans that have shifted away from him, that actually got rid of their DVDs, their VHS tapes, anything that there is to do with his original work, whether it was Casino or Goodfellas or The Godfather Part 2, Raging Bull, all these films that are considered classics or very well known throughout the decades. People do not even want to watch them anymore because now when they see the younger iteration of Robert De Niro, the younger version of him, all they see is the present Robert De Niro at a character. And that's the problem that's happening with a lot of actors. Now, what's interesting here, though, is exactly the consequences that Robert De Niro is facing as a result of him really just going on the whole Epstein bandwagon and really just going against all what Trump is trying to do with the Epstein files right now. And basically, this is all happening to a lot of actors as well. We'll talk more about that down the road. However, with so many Hollywood celebrities going into damage control mode after the recent Epstein twists that have been going viral and spreading through word of mouth, one shocking turn of events involves how actor Robert De Niro recently got banned after commenting on the Biden and Epstein twist that involved how Joe Biden suppressed information related to Epstein during his presidency and his connection to the Clintons that were suppressed. After De Niro, though, went on multiple rants and tirades about this, calling Trump by terrible names, it turns out that NBC surprisingly was going to involve Robert De Niro as a guest to mock Trump and Maga on their December 20th episode. Now, the planned skit was supposed to involve Robert De Niro as Trump with the Trump hair reading along a paper, a very long piece of paper of those on the naughty list. This list in the skit was supposed to involve Trump pardoning the worst types of criminals in the country, and also Robert De Niro was going to play another bit as a Trump supporter, depicting the supporter as a racist and sexist. Very similar to what Tom Hanks did back in January of this year, and the only reason why NBC decided to recently ban Robert De Niro from doing this skit involved his recent extreme comments about Biden, Epstein, Bill and Hillary Clinton, plus the attacks toward Trump supporters, to the point that NBC executives, get this, informed the board that De Niro would be too extreme to do this at this time. To make matters worse for Robert De Niro is that NBC was also planning to do a specific Christmas special towards the middle of December that was going to involve a special appearance by Robert De Niro. He was also banned from actually taking part in that appearance as well, and instead, one of the actors from Stranger Things, alright, the specific one is still being chosen upon, are planned to make an appearance instead, as they want to bring in a less politically motivated actor for the planned surprise special on NBC. Now, get this as well, De Niro was outraged when he first learned about how the NBC executives banned him from the SNL episode, mocking Trump, and also from the NBC Christmas special that is set to be announced in the coming days to build up anticipation. De Niro, to no surprise, is already in the process of challenging NBC and fighting back to reverse their recent actions against him in order to get him back on the show. Now, obviously that's working to no avail. NBC executives, however, are not actually budging one bit and are keeping him banned after his extreme comments related to the Epstein case and Joe Biden. However, make no mistake, Robert De Niro is still set to mock Trump on CBS via the Stephen Colbert Show by early 2026, before the show goes off the air. Now, NBC executives and the board reportedly only made this call to ban Robert De Niro as a pre-strategy to gain more respect from their viewers and audience. And already it's backfiring regardless of knowing that SNL and NBC were allowing this to begin with, until Robert De Niro ranted about Trump, MAGA, and Trump supporters after the recent Epstein revelations came forward. Now guys, let me say one thing about this before I move on. Now we know one thing about Robert De Niro is that, yes, he's always going to be very extreme with his political views. Yes, he does not seem to care that people are leaving him, that nobody wants to actually watch his work anymore, whether it's new material or old material, doesn't matter. If you look at his recent projects, and I'm talking about in particular The Alto Nights by WB box office bomb. We know that also when you're looking at a movie like Tin Soldier, I believe that was from Amazon MGM Studios, a ratings disaster. Meet the Fockers 4, it's going to be called Focker-in-Law, it's due for 2026. That film is also slated to have a lot of trouble with Robert De Niro basically acting like an anchor at this point on the success of this movie. And whether or not it's going to be a success is really all up to the marketing, it's all up to the story, and how it's actually played out. But we all know the one thing for sure is that whenever you have an insufferable actor that's part of the cast and going on all these different PR nightmares and making a mess out of everything, look at what happened to Rachel Zegler in Snow White, for example. You know, it would have obviously done better at the box office a little bit if she just kept her mouth shut and just kept her politics to herself and focused on the story. And we've seen this happen with many actors time and time again. So again, already De Niro is looking to partner with other studios to mock Trump beyond CBS. This is how greedy he is with trying to just get all these different paychecks from these studios to mock Trump and do some of the most low-level material out there. Now already he's working with CBS and, you know, ABC to do the same exact thing, but I think that NBC made a kind of a right call, I guess you could say. It's a little hypocritical because, look, they were going to do this to begin with, but the only reason why they're backing down now is because of how extreme, like I said before, Robert De Niro was with the whole recent Epstein revelations that, you know, Trump actually put out there, and how a lot of it had to do with Biden suppressing and censoring a lot of info related to Epstein throughout his presidency. And that really backfired on a lot of celebrities when they tried to really go into damage control about that. And it made them look as if they were hiding something, or as if they were trying to defend something for some kind of ulterior motive going on, who knows. But we know one thing about Robert De Niro, and that's for sure, a lot of his upcoming films, they're not looking too hot when it comes to, you know, the level of interest by the audience. I mean, Meet the Fockers 4, was anybody really asking for this? Was anybody begging for a movie called Focker-in-Law, right? I don't think so. And when you're looking at other movies, for example, he's gonna obviously try to play that same old, played-out mob boss role, and that's why WB dropped him, and he wants to do that with other studios still to this day, but we'll talk more about that, because there's a lot of things going on with WB and Netflix. But I would like to hear what everyone has to say about all of this below in the comments, everything related to Robert De Niro, to NBC and SNL, and his recent comments about Epstein and Biden and more, and how that backfired. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.